Good morning, Mark.
Hey, Marian, the librarian. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. It's July 1st, and it's Monday. It's the start of a new day, a start of a new week, a start of a new month. I love it. I do. This is the Digital Office at Home podcast, and I'm thrilled to be here. And I'm thrilled to be here with Mark. So, Mark is a new friend. We met about a month ago. He had me, no, we met on a coffee chat. And I absolutely loved him. I said, "Hey, you've got to come on the podcast." And he said, "I'm up for it." So here we are. And I'm really happy.
Well, I have since changed the name from virtual coffees to virtual Diet Cokes because I don't drink coffee. And I was talking to a friend of mine on LinkedIn, and they go, "That's a great idea because it's unique." And so whenever now I changed my Calendly event to say virtual Diet Coke. I know Diet Coke's the devil. I get that. Save your mail. I just enjoy it.
Oh, that's funny. Yes, no, you're right. If you just said Coke, people would be after you about all the sugar. If you say Diet Coke, it's got full of chemicals. If you say coffee, it's too much caffeine. I don't know. It doesn't, yeah. Whatever, they are going to have a response to that. So before we move forward, I want to say I'm sorry Gail's not here with us today. My co-host Gail Kendick, she's usually here with us on our podcast, and she couldn't make it today, so we're missing her already. Sorry, Gail, next week. And you know what, Mark, you're going to have to come back again because I'm telling you, you and Gail would really get along great. She's the
I'd like
idea
to.
factory lady. Yeah, she'll get some ideas for you that you won't be able to believe. You'll go, "Wow, why didn't I think of that?" So before we got started today, I was telling Mark that yesterday I had to drive for about an hour and a half from where I live out in the middle of nowhere in the National Forest, all the way into Houston, which is about an hour and a half drive to where I was going. And so I listened to one of your podcasts, and one of the podcasts, you know, I have time for 2 or 3 podcasts, depending on how long they are. So I usually listen to NPR, and I listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I fit yours in yesterday. And I tell you, it was wonderful. I enjoyed your response to the person that you were interviewing. Very good information. And I loved how you got your questions in. Let's talk a little bit about how you decide who you're going to have on and how you can manipulate, that's the wrong word, how you can figure out a way to get your questions in when someone just keeps talking.
Well, my target audience is leaders and executives of small to medium-sized businesses. And so I'm always looking for guests to come on my show. They don't have to be productivity, time management, health and wellness experts, but they have to be productive people. And I want them to come on my show and say, "Hey, here's a great idea or great ideas on how I get more done. And you may be able to fit this in your life as well." Now, yesterday, the episode you were talking about is a gentleman by the name of Liam Nathan.
And you
He
can
is
tell
a
he's smart. You could tell he's
he's
smart and he
very
has good
smart.
ideas.
His big thing is he doesn't think it's point he doesn't see the point of having goals because he shared a statistic on my podcast, and you can listen to the whole episode on the Mr. Productivity
And
podcast.
I recommend it.
Yeah. So he said 2 to 3% of people actually accomplish their goals. And he's like, "Why are we even having goals?" He's a big systems guy. He's about setting up your life where you will achieve your goals. But when he kept talking, and I've done over 1,280 episodes on my podcast, he kept talking and talking. And I don't ever like to interrupt the guest, but I had to a couple times. And at the end of the show, I said, "Look, I'd like to have you back, but next time, can you let me talk on my own show?" And it was a big joke. He says, "I didn't mean to. It's just most people have him on their show," and he just continues to talk. I am always trying to think of the person listening to my podcast.
Thank you.
what
I
would
knew
they
that
want?
as a listener, I could hear that and I knew that and I appreciated it so much because I did have questions because you could tell he had great ideas and the 1 to 2% of people actually accomplishing their goals. I was stuck there too. And when I heard you say that, you said, I'm still back on the goals, that 1 to 2%. And I thought, me too. I want to
Mhm.
hear more about that. Why is that?
Mm. I appreciate you saying that because when you're out listening to a podcast, you're probably in your car or you're walking the dog or on a run or something like that.
That's right.
You could think it, but you're not going to remember to email me or send me a message. And so I can't get into the minds of my listeners, but I try to go, what would they want to know? And be honest, I'm kind of a normal guy. And if I figure I have the question, they're probably going to have the question. And so, having done this almost 7 years now, I got a pretty good sense of what questions to ask. I'm like you, I don't do scripted questions either. I think it's a better conversation if we just turn on the mics and just have a conversation.
Let's
The
just
only
get
difference
real.
is we just let the rest of the world hear it.
Yes, that's why you and I both do coffee chats. Well, I do a coffee chat now and you do a Diet Coke chat. Because we do like to talk to people and we do want to keep it real. I think that's a good reason to do podcasts and do coffee chats because if it's scripted, I mean, yes, I listen to a lot of scripted ones as well, and I learn, and but you can tell it's scripted. You can tell, and a lot of times they even say that they'll say, I have these questions, and I'm going to
Mhm.
ask, and the audience knows it. So maybe some people are really attracted to that. I like it all actually, but I prefer myself to do unscripted.
I will tell the audience a secret, and any podcaster that
Oh,
denies this, they're not telling the truth. So when you are a podcast host and you have a guest on, you're doing it because you want to have some free information from the guest that you want to learn and you want to ask this expert. You're just allowing the rest of the world to hear it. Now, anybody that says that's not true, come on. Why do you have these guests on your show other than you want to pick their brains on your show? So that's a little secret that most podcast hosts will deny, but it's the truth.
I think there are multiple reasons, and that is definitely one of them. When I pick a guest, that could be one of the reasons, but another reason is to get more eyeballs on my products, my services, my show, whatever it is that I'm promoting at the time. So it could be a little of both, I think. So if they're denying it, maybe it's not all the time. What do you think?
Well, I don't have advertising on my show. My whole purpose is to get people to go to my website. And
Yes,
so I use it as a lead magnet.
yes, same
And
here.
I think shows that go out and have Audible ads or ZipRecruiter or 99 Designs, not sponsors of your show, the thing is they kind of cheeses it down. Now, if you're going to give a very strategic advertiser on your show that is going to benefit your listeners and it goes hand in hand with your mission, that's fine. But a lot of people, they just want to get into podcasting to podcast or to monetize, and they just have
That's
anybody on their
true.
show, but
That's
that
true.
confuses your audience.
That's true. Now, yesterday I also listened to another podcast on the way back. See, I have an hour and a half there and an hour and a half back. So it was called the RV Entrepreneur. And I noticed they have too many ads. Okay, there's too many, but they're very strategic and they really hit home. Like they did their research and they only let advertisers come in that are in support of the people like me who love to
Mhm.
travel and use their RV or to create an income while they're traveling. And so I really appreciated that and I did notice it. So I thought
Mm.
if I ever did have an ad, which I probably won't because I don't go after that, just like you, I don't do it to make money. I do it to drive traffic to what I'm doing. But if I ever did, I would have to have someone that would, be a good quality person or company for my audience. It wouldn't be
Mm.
just anybody, right?
Well, that's important because you got to understand you have a reputation. You have a reputation that your audience appreciates. And if you go out and get an advertiser just for the money, and all of a sudden they like killing and scalping baby raccoons, for example, and
Oh,
you didn't
dear.
know that, and people are going to go, "Oh my gosh, I listen to Marian's podcast, but she supports this company
Oh,
that skins you." So you got to be
gross.
really careful about that.
Yes, I agree. Now, I do want to talk about your standing desk. I want to
Yes.
know how you thought about it, where you got it, how do you like it? Is it helping? I got to know it all.
Well, where it started is I read a book, which I recommend everyone read,
Okay,
called
I'm writing it
Built
down.
to Move. Built to
Built
Move.
to move.
Yeah, it's the last name is Starrett, Starrett. It's on Amazon. And in the book, they talk about we were created not to sit behind our computer on Zoom calls for hours on end. I know that may shock your listeners. We were never created for that. And they said a couple things in the book that really stuck out. One of them was you should have a goal of standing or sitting 6 hours or less a day. Okay. Because most of us are sitting behind Zoom calls. And I thought to myself, well, I know there's this thing called a standing desk. So I mentioned to my wife, and she got one for me for my anniversary, our
Oh,
anniversary.
oh, how
And I
sweet.
love it. So every one of my podcasts, every one of my coaching calls, every training I'm on, I'm standing. And because what happens is I'm afraid if we keep sitting too long, then we're going to be born without legs anymore because all we need is our butt, right? So I'm just like, let's start standing more. And standing could be standing at a desk. It could be walking, running, whatever. I love this desk. And matter of fact, my wife is somewhat shorter than me. So when she comes in here, she's got to lower it. But I love the standing desk. It just keeps me moving. So if you're watching this on video, I keep moving around to keep the blood flowing. But I love it. It's a great quality desk, and I'm very happy with it.
Well, thank you for mentioning that. Now, unfortunately, I don't have room because I share an office. I don't really have room to have another desk in here. However, I do have this rolling cart next to me. You can't see it, but it's a rolling cart, and I have my calendar. It's a big calendar because I'm a writer as well as digital. I have everything's digital. Yes, I'm the digital queen over here. But I also have a big calendar on this rolling cart that can move up and down. And
Nice.
and so I was thinking, I wonder if I could adjust it so that it would go higher and just use that because I just use a laptop, you
Mhm.
know?
Well, I only
Hmm.
have one desk in my office, and that's my standing desk. So I got rid of my old desk, and this replaced that one.
Oh, well, I can't do that because I share a big desk with somebody else. We
Well,
are in
tell
the
them to get their own
process
desk.
of, well, we're in the process of selling this home. So I made the mistake of, I lived in Houston, which is like almost 9 million people now. And the crime and the traffic and the noise and everything, I thought, you know what? I'm digital. I can work from anywhere. Digital office
Mhm.
at home, wherever your home is, a motor home, or what does it matter? I want to move. So I sold my house after Hurricane Harvey, took all my furniture and moved it outside. I thought, now's a good time. I'm going to get the heck out of here. So I did. But I made the mistake of going too far. Okay. I went from one side to the other. And basically what I did was, sorry, my nurse is trying to get a hold of me. I take care of a lady with Alzheimer's. And so I'll call her right back. Anyway, I went way too far. Now I'm out in the middle of nowhere. Now we do have good internet here because we have fiber. We have
Ah,
fiber and it's fantastic. But other than that, there's very few places to go. Like restaurants are only a few, but we do have a Starbucks. Uh, but there's no noise and there's no crime out here. Well, I won't say no. There's always crime, right? But come on. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. So I thought, now, Marian, now you need to sell this house and move somewhere in the middle, okay? Not 9 million and not 6,000, okay? So we're going to North Carolina,
wow.
but we have to sell this house first. So the real estate agent said, you need to move your office out of this room. I had it in my bedroom because I have a big bedroom. So I moved it in and I said, let's, combine our offices together while we're trying to sell the house. So that's why I can't really tell her to get her own house. It won't work. Sorry. Sorry for me. But yeah, I'm really considering it. And I think I'm going to go ahead and buy that book because I think that's very important. I've been thinking about it for years. I just haven't done anything with it. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Now, Mark, I want to know about your business. Who is your perfect client? And if I'm not your perfect client, the listeners, if they're not your perfect client, can you still help them in any way?
Well, my target market is executives and leaders of small to medium-sized businesses. But in answer to your question, yes, I can help anyone. But the experts say you're not supposed to say, I can help everyone. You're supposed to niche down. But yes, just like my podcast, even though it's targeted toward leaders and executives of small to medium-sized businesses, you could be a high school student, a college student, you could be a retired person listening to my podcast or any podcast. And so what's interesting, there was a book a number of years ago called Chicken Soup for the Soul. Everybody loved it. And then you notice Chicken Soup for the Soul for lawyers and Chicken Soup for the Soul for doctors. It was the same idea. They just put another name at the end of it. So the tips I share with people, pretty much, probably 90% can be applied to everyone. But the question is, are you willing to do the work? So before I get on a call with somebody, I always ask them a question. I said, are you willing to do the work? Because it's not magic just reading a book. It's not magic just hiring a coach. You've got to be willing to do the work. And a lot of people think, oh, if I hire Mark, I'm going to be more productive. No, you're going to have to do a lot of work and you're going to have to get uncomfortable. So one of my favorite quotes is from Steve Harvey, the host of Family Feud. He says, if you ever want to be successful, you've got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And a lot of people don't want to be uncomfortable. Well, that's fine. If you want to stay in comfort, that's fine. Just understand you're going to limit your growth.
So what is it that you make them uncomfortable with? Do they have to sell something and they don't like sales? What is it that they're uncomfortable with?
The first thing I talk about with a new client is clarity. And because most people have never had someone ask them about their aspirations, their dreams, what do they want to do this year, next year, the year after that, 10 years down the line, it's very uncomfortable because they're like, well, I hired you to help me become a better planner. I know. I hired you to help me be more productive. I know, but we got to get a base. We got to get a foundation. We have to figure out, what do you want? Because depending on what you want is going to vary how I coach you. So if you just say, I only got 2 more years before I retire and I'm going to go get in a yacht and sail around the world, well, I'm going to coach that person different than if they're going to work another 30 more years. And so clarity, everybody thinks they're clear, but they're not. So the reason why we think we're clear is because we ask ourselves, am I clear? Yep. But when you go to a third party like myself, and I'm like, okay, tell me your goals and your dreams, and your aspirations. And they're like, because they've never thought about it. Now, you don't have to hire a coach. You can use what I call your own personal therapist. It's called a journal. Go someplace quiet, like where Marianne lives, and don't have the music on, TV, or anybody talking around you, and just start writing down, not thinking, writing down, what do I want to do this year, next year, in 5 years, and 10 years, and just allow your subconscious mind to just give you all these ideas. But most people don't want to take that time because, Marianne, they're too busy scrolling on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. They don't have time to do this exercise.
Well, I do appreciate what you're saying, and I witnessed it during my mastermind. So we were getting ready to go live on the mastermind, and I was getting them prepared. So what are you selling? And do you have your website landing page? Do you have everything? You got to have everything ready. And they panicked. I saw panic in their eyes. I saw people drop off. I'm like, okay. Um, so the next time we got together, I'm like, okay, what is it that you're selling? What is it? Just like you said, I said it in a different way. I'm like, let's get clear about what it is you're offering. So we're not selling anything. We're offering some things that can help people, right? Because everybody that is in my mastermind wants to help people. That's all they want to do. They want to help. They're helper bees. And so what are you going to help them with? And they're not clear. And so I got to thinking, I thought, well, Marian, are you clear? So I hope you're writing a book about this, or you're, you're really focused on helping people with this even more, because I think most people don't even think about it.
No, they don't. As a matter of fact, a funny story is when I first became in this, once I first got into the productivity space, I thought naively now that productivity was calendar apps and to-do lists. Now I understand health and wellness, mental health, clarity, all these things have to do with being productive. And even though I have trademarked Mr. Productivity, no one has ever come to me and says, Mark, I want to be more productive. They come to me and go, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed with my to-do list and my calendar, and I don't have time, and on and on and on. I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Emails.
I'm speaking the wrong language. People are overwhelmed. Now, I'm not going to go trademark Mr. Anti-Overwhelm. I already paid a fortune to LegalZoom. But the point is people need to be clear. And the thing is, if you are looking at the most successful people, they are constantly getting clear every day. So if you look at the big names, whether it's Adam Grant, Cal Newport, Tony Robbins, Oprah Winfrey, I'm sure every day they're going through something where they're making sure that they're on point. And I think it's important that we don't think I got clarity on January 1st and now July 1st. I don't have to think about it anymore. You should be thinking about it every day. Has something changed? Am I still on target? Do I need to pivot? If you just stay on autopilot, very few good things happen on autopilot.
It's true, because then people start realizing that they can get you to do what they want you to do, and then you're not thinking clearly, so you just kind of go along with it. And next thing you know, you're nowhere near your goals, or even the path to your goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
Oh dear, yes. Oh man, this is great. This is good stuff. So the first thing you do when you meet with a client is find out what they're not clear about. I like that. I really like that. So, is there something that you could do for us today that would help us gain some clarity?
I already told your audience, and I want to go back so they don't miss it. Go get yourself a notebook. If you do not have a notebook, do not procrastinate going to Amazon looking for the perfect notebook. Find a notebook, find a sheet of paper, find something around your house. This is the hidden form of procrastination, Marianne. When people go, I'm going to go to Amazon to look for the journal you got. No. You need to go look in your house to see if you don't have paper, turn a receipt over, do something. Go someplace quiet. You could do it in your house. Turn off the TV, turn off the radio, make sure no one's around your house, and just sit there. And at the top of the page, you write down, what do I want? And just start writing. What do you want? And don't judge yourself. This is the mistake people make all the time. Oh, that's impractical. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too this. I'm too that. Just let your subconscious mind put all these thoughts from your brain down your arm into your fingerprints on the paper. And yes, do it on paper. Do not do it on an app. I want you to do it on paper. They have done studies. When you write things, it sticks with you more. And yeah, I love pens. And here's the thing. Don't try to do it in between, when you're in a commercial break or at a red light. Gift yourself 60 to 90 minutes. Just sitting with yourself, maybe a glass of water, or in my case, it's before 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Diet Coke, and just write. And if you run out of things, here's another critical point. If you run out of things, which you will, you're going oh, that's it. No, this is your subconscious mind testing you. You're going to think, I got all the ideas, and you're going to sit there and you're going to look around. If you're outside, look at the trees, look at the birds, and all of a sudden, another idea is going to percolate up. And then another idea. And see, what happens is your brain's testing you. How serious are you? And most people quit. They think they got everything, but no, the brain's going to go, okay, are they really serious now? Are they willing to sit through the pain of silence to get the
Ooh,
goal?
there's
That's
the
the secret.
uncomfortableness. Okay, gotcha. Thank you so much. Well, I know that we're going to have all of your links that you want us to know down below in the comment section in the description. But is there anything else that you wanted to share today that you have to get off your chest? I just, I just adore you, so I'm willing to just like keep going here for a minute.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think Gail wasn't here because she was scared of my bald head. That's the theory I
Oh,
got in my head. So, hi, Gail. We miss you. Hopefully, I'll be back and get to have a conversation with you. What I
absolutely.
want to encourage people to do is I just finished Dr. Peter Attia's book for a second time. I listened to it on Audible. It's adorable. A door block. No, not a doorstop. It's a doorstop. Then I bought the hard copy and I just read it again. And in there, he says, if you want to live a long life, I'm 59 years young, fully anticipate living to 110, if not longer. He said, if you want to live a long, healthy life, the number one thing you need to do, which also will help you be productive, is exercise. Now, I run every day and I also use my rebounder, but you can walk briskly. You can go swimming. You can lift weights. You can go on the treadmill, but get that heart rate up at least 30 minutes every day. They said more than anything else you can do, more than sleep, although sleep is a close second, is you got to take care of yourself. So many people are just like, I don't have time for exercise. You better make time for exercise. I didn't begin to take my health seriously until my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2018 and she passed in 2022.
Sorry.
I had an opportunity to talk with one of their doctors, and he says the number one thing you can do is to exercise because that keeps the brain active. It keeps the blood going in the brain. And so I just want to press upon your listeners, please, every day make time to exercise.
Well, you're living proof, okay? Because you're standing up at your desk. You are doing what you're doing what you're saying. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. I was thinking that, do I do what I say? Do I do what I tell other people to do? I have to think about that. Thank you for coming on. We will have you back when Gail comes back. So I'll schedule sometime very soon, and you'll come back and give us even more good stuff. So I'm going to continue to listen to your podcast, which I absolutely love. And I hope that you're going to have a fantastic July. So
You
bye
as
for
well.
now, everybody. Bye, Mark.
Bye.
It was good, huh? All's good.